Welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Ooh ah, 3D effect. Ooh ah, ooh ah. Today I want to discuss something that was big in the late 80s, early 90s, and that was diabetic support groups. Now, I think over the past couple of years, popularity has waned. I forgot to do something. I will insert my picture right now and we'll discuss it after. My blood sugar is 9.2. So I'm up. I'm not terribly bad either. Now, I tried to encompass diabetic support groups when I put together my videos here. I want you to learn and to take what you've learned to your doctor, your diabetic nurse, the dietitian, whatever, and find out what will work best for you. Don't just kind of sit there quietly, moving along, when you could find out so much more, and so much of what causes highs, what causes low, what to do if you're sick. If you go to the hospital, what do you need to tell them to get the best care for you? We even had a discussion one night of what was the best hospital in our area for diabetes. And some hospitals you don't necessarily want to step into if you're a type 1 diabetic. And I've told stories about my own time, but I'm not going to rehash those. But you should keep up with things. And, nowadays it's really hard to pull people from their homes to come sit in a meeting and just sit there and spill their guts out. But with the advent of Zoom meetings, things could change. With Zoom meetings, you can allow to have people sitting in their homes, and people will feel more comfortable, and if they feel more comfortable, they can open up. I really don't care if you have a formal group, a relaxed group, discuss individual problems, or an overall chat. It doesn't really matter. Just as long as you're able to offer support to one another. You need to be able to have people help one-on-one. And again, just like this group, I am not a doctor. I'm a medical professional. Sorry, I got sleep left over my eye. But take that information back to your doctor and have a discussion. I think actually Zoom meetings now are so much more easier to handle, easier to schedule. People could be going home on the bus with headphones and have a discussion. Driving is a little bit different. But what did we used to discuss? Well, we used to discuss highs and lows. As I said before, we discussed what happens when you're in the hospital. We've talked to worst doctors you ever went to. And, things really started opening up. One thing we learned is if you do a general meeting in, a church basement or at a hospital, and don't pile it on everyone. Have someone suggest, well, today we're going to discuss this. We had different topics, different days, so you kind of get a broad range. Now, you've got to remember that there are people who are going to be just non-stational. I don't believe there is such a support group. Doesn't mean there can't be. There's type 2 and then there's type 1. The problem with support groups were a lot of times people just sort of sat there scratching their heads saying, what does this really have to do with me? I'm a type 1. We were having a conversation one night, and this lady brought out a can of Coke and opened it. I'm talking regular Coke. And it was pretty well going around the table and saying, what are you doing drinking that? Oh, as a diabetic, you're not allowed to. She said, I took my insulin, I took a look at net carbs. I'm good here. But there's so much difference between type 1 and type 2. It might be even worth having a type 2 run your meeting for type 2s, and type 1 run your meetings for type 1s. It's important that, all meetings be open to all diabetics. I don't care about race, creed, color, gender. Everyone can learn. Parents, younger diabetics, how about teaching and learning, passing on to younger diabetics? Have them work on projects to get in touch and working. Everyone assumes that type 1s just mysteriously disappear as they get older. Because we all know type 1s are juvenile and type 2s are adult onset. And, I think an awful lot of time could be utilized breaking down these stereotypes. I have had people shaking their heads. How could I be a type 1? You're an adult. You must be a type 2. And I said, what? I'm type 1. No, you're a type 2. I've told you before about the story about going into emergency and having a doctor say, oh no, you're a type 2, you're not a type 1. And I finally said, do the C-peptide test, or look at my past C-peptide test and find out. Don't be disappointed if these support groups take a while to get going. You can sure, at diabetic centers, put up a sign saying, Zip meeting, here's our number. You could get an email list going, and every month put this out. Don't be the people, oh, I don't want to do anything. My diabetes is perfect because we all can learn. Diabetic support groups are a great way to start. Talk with you later. Have a great day. Bye.